Hey, so I had a pretty good day. Um, Easy, really. I got everything I wanted. I'm happy. I don't have any money, but then I'm thinking of all the virtues and blessings in my life and the protection that I feel. It's not tangible. I don't have guns. I don't have the ability to protect myself, really, but I feel protected by like spirituality and my physical health and the combination thereof. So I'm thankful for that, and nothing really bad happened to me. It's all it was just an emotional state, and it wasn't even anything in really that like mattered. The only thing that got damaged was the protective shell that I built to be damaged, or bought to be damaged. So it did its job, and it was replaced, and that's all. I'm happy. Um, a fallen soldier. My toolbox got run over, and that's the only. And it's just such a silly thing, because it was housing one of my most expensive and prized tools. That is really one of my favorite tools, to be honest. And it got run over by a truck today, and not a scratch on anything, except the box. It was destroyed, completely mangled. Everything in there was spotless. It ran over the side where my hoses were, and so like I had some like acid test strips and stuff that got destroyed. But besides that, and the person who ran it over bought me a new toolbox right away, and it's like, dude, that's protection right there. If you believe in God, and you believe in anything, it's just like, what are the odds? You know, you run over a pile of my tools, and the only thing that got crushed was a can of soup, my lunch bag, and my toolbox, and not one of my tools got scratched. It was amazing. It was really amazing. My $800 cell phone was in there. I mean, it was $800 5 years ago. It's $100 now. you know, it was everything I own got run over, and nothing got damaged. It's really just amazing when you think about it. And then customers were cool. Nobody like pushed back or gave me a hard time. Nobody would like touch me or like was breathing on me or anything like that. So I really appreciate that. And so that's another thing. Dude, I'm not saying he's a nice guy. He's an older gentleman. Probably like 70 years old, maybe 60 years old. I don't, maybe he's 55. I don't know, but he was, you know, a nice old guy at his retired age, and his thick accent really tough to understand. I think he was from Poland. Yeah. So talking to this Polish guy, and he's really cool. I fixed all this stuff. He's having lots of problems. It's one of those ones where it's just like, unit was 15 years old, and it started probably with a gasket leak in the exhaust, and it was probably letting some moisture into. It was a 90 plus combi unit, and it was probably letting some moisture into the cabinet for a while. So it had a failed three-way valve, and it had a failed um, inducer motor, and then we also had to fix the flue pipe, And then he's like, "Oh, check the drain," and I check the drain, and then I push that back in, and that gasket's rotted out too. So the gasket for the flue pipe is a stupid connection. Don't give me a push connection and no worm gear clamp. I didn't install it, but so whoever installed it 10 years ago, it was a factory install. Like, they didn't do anything wrong. It's just that the flue pipe connection was just pushed on a gasket on gasket. They didn't screw together at all. There was no mechanical connection. And the gasket, after 10 years, um, it leaked a little bit, enough to damage some of the components in the system. And so the guy ended up having to spend probably more money than he wanted, whatever money's worth nowadays, and whatever access he has to the government to get it. I don't know, but I still have that old mindset because I fall into that working class demographic where they're giving me about $100. So it means nothing to me. They could be giving everybody else 10 grand, or I don't know. But so far, I've gotten about 200. No, I've gotten about $400 from the government total. And so I don't know what everybody else is getting. But I think it's more than that. So I don't know what this guy's got, but he had to pay like 2 grand. By the time it was all said and done over the course of a few trips, because we replaced the three-way valve. I didn't see the flue gas leak initially. I just replaced the three-way valve and got him going. And then like a month later, he saw water leaking. So it might have happened after, but it was probably a small leak, and it was just vapor, and I didn't notice it. And then it got worse and worse and started to drip. It's probably what happened, but because I like to think I would have noticed a leak. But I'm also the type of tech where I'm not necessarily going to tell you every little thing, because I don't want to be like, here's a $1,500 bill to every customer, because I feel like they can't afford it sometimes. And I try to pick and choose for them what I think. But this wasn't that. I honestly didn't see any signs of moisture. I would have at least told them to cover myself. But so it probably got worse because he noticed the leak. And the initial call, like 2 months ago, was just no heat. He had hot water. He just had no heat, and that's how I knew the circulator was okay. And then he had the inducer motor failed, but my boss went out, and then I went back because my boss was like, he was. I think he didn't say you did something wrong, but he was like, go back here. And I had been there 2 months ago, so I kind of got and the guy was like, he was making comments like, "Oh, you shook the system," like when I was working on it, and it's like, dude, you know what I mean? Come on. I hate that because I really try to do everything to the best of my ability. I don't like to have, like, if you want to say that to my boss when I leave. I don't want to hear it. What are you doing? You're trying to you want to talk shit about, like, there's one thing, you're my coworker, don't talk shit about me behind my back, talk shit to my face, you know what I mean? But if you're a customer, like, why are you even pushing me, you know what I mean? Talk to the boss. If I'm gonna put in my notes, I'm gonna put in my notes, and you can say whatever you want about me shaking the unit the first time. But when you say that to me, it's like you're insulting me, and then you're insinuating that you're not gonna pay, which doesn't make me want to do the best job for you. But all that aside, just in my opinion, if you have any thought in your mind, like, oh, the technician the last time he was here might have caused this issue, don't even say. Just be like, hey, what is it? Let's find out together. It's a mystery. We're on a team. You know what I mean? If you start that off adversarially, it's difficult. It's difficult for everyone involved. But we want to find the problem too. I mean, that's what we're bloodhounds for problems. That's the profession. Nobody wants to be the callback guy, but as a customer, you kind of also have to look at it like, there are legitimate multiple issue calls. There are legitimate downstream consequences to part failures that lead to other part failures down the line. Electrical issues are notorious for that. One motor overamping can take out the contact of the control board and the capacitor. It's not necessarily one component that is going to be affected by anything. So, and we can't necessarily, well, we can, but we wouldn't necessarily be doing the right thing either if we made the recommendation to replace every part every time because of that potentiality. So, I mean, just as kind of like we don't know until we know, and then we know, you know. So we gotta do the tests, and we gotta find out. It's not an opinion based thing. We gotta look at it and say, okay, this is what happened. This is probably, you know, and make sense of it. But anyway, long story short, guy was cool about it. Paid, wasn't a dick. I mean, he a little bit with the shaking of the unit, but I was like, I showed him the gasket. I'm like, this gasket didn't rot because I shook the unit. The gasket rotted because it's a rotted gasket. He's like, okay, that makes sense. You know, what do you say to that? So, you know, he gave me this. I have no idea what it is. I'm terrified of it. It has absolutely no labels on it. It is definitely medicine because we were talking about medicine, but I'm terrified. He's the type of guy, Polish guy, makes his own medicine, you know, and I respect that. I'm all about that, but at least give a guy a clue as to what you're giving him. I have no, it has the consistency of frozen fat, you know, but and the color of it too, but it's not. I guarantee if I were to open this thing, it would smell like ridiculous spices and stuff. Um, but I'm just terrified of it. It's a giant jar of something. Who gives that to people? I mean, I'm appreciative of it, but I just don't understand it.